Welcome back to Sturge Tropia. This is Sturge at Paradise Landing, where I pretty much start all the time because all life on Next Island begins at Paradise Landing. I'm going to do something I didn't think I would ever do, is make a video on taming. That's correct, a video about taming, because I don't know anything about taming. No, not really. I have tamed a few pets. I have like a level 8 panther I think I got from Entropia or something years ago. His name is Malcolm. Black Panthers. Anyway, I just thought that I was trying to actually do the Taming L.A.R.A mission recently, and came down here, and Baza, and I met Baza. Baza's super cool. A good conversation about the loot that L.A.R.A drops, but I realized that what I knew about taming was sort of just by trial and error, and that my approach to it probably would warrant a video for low-level tamers, not high-level tamers. And this mission is the taming of a L.A.R.A, is certainly doable by low-level players. It'd be a bit of a grind, but you need 20 L.A.R.A pets to do this mission. But I'm not really covering the mission. I want to cover actually just taming L.A.R.A pets and how to go about that. I want to look at the mob first on the wiki, and then we'll go into some details. So let's look at the Wikipedia deal here for the page for L.A.R.A, and we can see it's a single maturity mob with 20 hit points, does very little damage, 3 damage, and there's some other information here about like what loot you get, defensive skills, and then of course skills if you scan it and so forth. But what I really wanted to look at was the number of hit points and the damage. So I know how much damage I'm going to take, and then I know how many hit points I need to not do with my whip to tame this particular mob, and then go into maybe some more detail, because I think that's the one thing of all of the taming videos that I see, is that none of this detail is there. It's just go buy a whip and whip stuff, or create controversy because this isn't done the way I want it done, which is so silly. There should be just basic information like what whip to choose to whip this particular maturity mob and to tame it. And that is what I'm going to do next. So I went shopping over here in Serpentine Village at Icy Mars's little shop of wonders, because there's so much going on inside. And what I'm looking for here specifically is a whip that I can use, and I knew that Ico's shop had at least 3 different options for whips here. So the Dominatrix original Garter certainly is here, the original Moccasin, and the Habu. No, whoops, I got the sideboard. I didn't want the sideboard there. Let's get the Habu up, and then let's take a quick look at the damage intervals for these. And the skill level is really important as well here, because it's really low for all of these. So low-level players can enter in with these different whips. As you can see with the Dominatrix and original Garter, your whipper damage whipper hit is 0, so you don't have to worry about that there. The Moccasin has a whipper damage and hit level of 2, and the Habu has a damage and hit whipper skill of 3. So that's the barrier to entry is pretty low here. I'm 11.5 whipper damage and 8 whipper hits, so I'm great here. I'm past the learning periods on these 3 particular whips. But what I really want to point out is the damage interval. So the original Garter here is 1.5 to 3, which is perfect for the 20 hit points that a L.A.R.A pet has, because anything over that, I'm like 2 or 3 hits with the Moccasin, which is 4 to 8 damage interval, I'm going to kill the thing. And obviously the Habu is the same, 7.5 to 15, 1-2 hits, and the pet's going to die before I can possibly tame it. The mob is going to die before I tame it. So this is my thought process for going through and saying, I know the number of hit points that this particular mob has that I want to tame, and I don't want to overkill. I need to whip it enough to get the mob's spirit and respect in the range, the tameable range, where I can actually click on it and actually tame the pet or the mob itself. Now, mind you, I'm certain there are many more options for whips. The reason that I chose those 3 is obvious. Their accessibility in Ico's shop, but also because they illustrate the point that I'm trying to make. It's because you don't want to overkill this 20 hit point L.A.R.A mob to get it to become a pet. You've got to be able to get the spirit and respect in the range where you can tame it. And see, there's an example. I didn't tame it. I'm just going to let it regenerate. But you've got to be able to get that in a range where you can tame it. And then therein lies the next issue that I want to cover, and there's a bit of a change in the taming mechanism. And that change is actually something that anybody who is doing taming normally would have just noticed with the version update. And that is how to tame is now, there's no button for it. It used to be that you had your own separate key bound to tame when you got to the point where it said, you can tame this pet. Now you're simply just right-clicking the mouse, if that's how your mouse is set up. So it will say to you, time to tame. It says tame now, and then you right-click. And let's see if we can find an example of that. Okay, so here we are, whipping it good, a L.A.R.A pet. And I want to thank the Avatar Soul and 8 for guiding me in the right direction with the right click, because I had forgotten. I haven't tamed it all for a while. So here we are. We're about to tame this one, and you just right click, and boom, you get the L.A.R.A pet. So now you don't have to have your own button, a separate button to do the taming of these pets, which I think is pretty darn cool. When you look at that overall, keeps the mechanic now moving and fluid. And if for some reason you're not fast in hitting the right key, then of course now you can just do it all with the mouse. One final thing to note is if you are coming to Next Island to work on the Taming Ascalarius mission, you'll need to have 20 of these L.A.R.A pets in your inventory, and you can't spawn them. And the way to get the level 0 L.A.R.A tameable mob to spawn is to kill 12 of these untamable versions, and then one will spawn, and then you have to tame that. That's all that really is left. So even for a low-level player, this would probably be a good way to enter into taming, is to start with the garter, come and tame these the tameable L.A.R.A, and get your skill level up. Probably popping a skill pill would really be beneficial in this, but then that would be an entry point, because these are so low level, 20 hit points. You're going to do them for a mission anyway if you want to do that mission later down the road, but you can collect all of this and sort of get yourself ahead and figure out where you want to go later in the road, but gain the skills you need to tame the level, I think it's level 43 or 46 Ascalarius, which is, it's not doable yet for me. And my understanding from the Avatar Soul is the Habu, the original Habu, is the lowest level whip that you can have to tame that particular pet. So there we go, got a little bit of taming skill there. I think that pretty much sums up my first foray into the taming videos. I hope it's informative and you see the thought process that I'm going through to do this. I hadn't really realized over time until previously that that's how I was thinking about it, because I never intended to actually make a video on taming. I always figured, the people that like Juicy Fruit Monster, who are level 46 in taming or animal taming profession, would probably make videos or something like that. So hopefully this is informative and a good way of understanding the process for taming certain mobs and getting them into pets and completing missions. So thank you all for watching. This is Stirred signing off. Ciao.